Hunt Showdown is one of the most hardcore shooters I've ever played, but despite what the experts at Reddit would have you believe, it does not take 1,000 hours to begin to get good and understand it fundamentally. The bottom line up front, my own video, Hunt has recently become one of my favorite games of all time, probably within that top 20. I mean, the concept alone carries it. A dark fantasy, witchy, hyper realistic Western FPS. On top of this, the gameplay loop gives it an insane level of replay value that has already given me approximately 400 plus hours of game time in just the few months I've started playing. I'm trying to play other games, but the Bayou just keeps calling me back. One of the biggest things that sets this game aside from others is its meticulous attention to detail. Realistic weapons based on real-life counterparts, the various sounds of the Bayou, the hauntingly beautiful environment, the cracks in the sides of the barn you can use to hold angles, and the realistic way you got no vert. Various monsters kind of help lean into this aspect of the Bayou to help make the world feel a bit more haunting, a bit more menacing. It starts off with your basic zombies along with their armored variants, but gets a bit more intense. For example, the Immolator's a zombie that if you pierce it with anything, explodes into a raging inferno, burning you and taking your precious health chunks. Leans in even further with hives, scary ladies that are full of evil bees. Not only are the basic mobs fun and unique to fight, but the bosses themselves can provide a variety of challenge, depending on your build. Despite my love for this game and its world, it features a convoluted menu system, which leads into my biggest complaints. This menu took me about 250 of those 400 odd hours to find out that it actually told you how much money you would earn at the end of any match. The menu tends to provide a lot of information in a scattered, disorganized fashion, with each tab having their own individual 10 to 15 sub-tabs, with more unimportant information being conveniently available or downright hidden within sub-menus of sub-menus. At least the weapons happen to be sorted alphabetically. Even though the power of German over-engineering happens to be here, the build diversity is just absolutely incredible. You can dual-wield bleed ammo chain pistols, you can run into a compound with katanas and 4 jars of bees, you can snipe with fire ammo, carry an elephant gun and load a shotgun shell into the underbarrel of your pistol, or you could even be a filthy concertina arrow bow rat. The variety is up to player preference, and you will get rewarded by experimenting with all the variety the game has to offer. The basic gameplay loop consists of starting off in one section of the map and exploring until you can find enough clues to pinpoint the boss's location. Once you find the boss, you get into a dangerous fight with it. Hopefully it's not something crazy like the spider that will shrug off your sticky bombs, or hopefully it's something like the assassin, which you can just beat to death with a baseball bat. But somewhere in the process, you are bound to run into another player, and this is where the game thrives, is in these showdowns. A showdown with another player is tense and exhilarating, leading to some of the most intense gunfights I've ever experienced in gaming, and they always are a satisfying conclusion. Getting into this game can be difficult, as showcased by one of the very first achievements most players will get, kill your first enemy, which has a 22% completion rate. Kills in this game are well earned, making the fight all the more rewarding when it ends in your favor. If you're a fiend for that sweet, sweet dopamine rush, this game is going to be right up your alley. A lot of the achievements happen relatively naturally. For example, killing an immolator without it exploding happens pretty early on. Whereas more of the other achievements happen with a little bit of grind but aren't particularly difficult, such as killing 50 bosses or burning 50 chicken coops. Things you do naturally on your own time. That being said, some of these challenges start to get a little bit into the insane area such as visiting every location on a map in one mission and every supply point in one mission. While they aren't necessarily difficult on paper, given the match length, there are other players you have to worry about, which do cause some challenge when completing these. So the reliable way for challenges like that would happen to be clear lobby, and that's an easier said than done task. Some of these challenges, though, if you look at the completion rate, seem like it's gonna be a lot of challenge. However, hiding in a toilet is obviously gonna be a lot easier than you'd think it to be. And when you start the gramophone and piano at the same time, again, it's easy gamer score right there. The first achievement that gave me challenge was killing an enemy hunter with a sledgehammer throw. The difficulty of this challenge doesn't necessarily come from actually hitting someone in the head. It's the fact that it isn't a one-hit kill when you do hit them. I found that out after pulling off one of the meanest flanks in the game, charging the throw, hitting them square in the chest, just for them to turn around and shoot me in the head. The biggest recommendation I would have for this challenge is to have friends, or highly motivated online strangers, to hit somebody with a gun before you sling that 30-pound bundle of hate downrange at them. By the end of this achievement hunt, there was only ever one achievement that gave me any real grief, and that came from collecting 250 rifts in Soul Survivor. This wouldn't be a problem on its own if the game mode was any fun to play, but as it stands, you run into the issue of empty lobbies and pointless grind, so it takes about 8 hours to do if you're just running the same routine of go in, close rift, kill self. Do I think Hunt Showdown is for everybody? Absolutely. It is a cruel and unforgiving game that will punish you for even the slightest mistake in something as small as positioning. The amount of times I have lost a hunter to something I could have easily prevented was and is still frustrating and still happens frequently. However, if you take the time to learn, if you survive a match or two, the game starts to get easier. All you need to do is develop your game sense and your map knowledge. Take some time and learn some patience, and you will find this game to be a hauntingly immersive walk through normal Louisiana.